Good morning, students. We will continue with Science 2, chapter number 6, Animal Classification. In the previous lecture, we learned about the traditional method of classifying animal and the five kingdom classification system. Now, according to the five kingdom classification system, all the multicellular animals are included in kingdom Animalia. If you look at the chart, it explains that particular thing. So all of them are belonging to a kingdom called as kingdom Animalia, multicellular organism without a cell wall. Now the system of classification is based upon some criteria like body organization, that means whether it is cellular, tissue, organ system, based on that what we saw in the last class also. Body symmetry, whether it is asymmetrical body or if it is symmetrical. If it is symmetrical, whether it is radial symmetry or bilateral symmetry. Then body cavity, whether it is having a body cavity, not having a body cavity, and germinal layers, that is germ layers, and as well as segmentation, etc. Now based on that, the animals were classified into 10 phylum. Phylum Porifera, Cnidaria or Scolentorata, Platyhelminthes, Asclepianthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. Today we will be seeing about the characteristics of each phylum. The first phylum that we'll start with is Porifera. These animals with simple body plan are called as sponge also. They have many pores on their body and these body pores are called as ostia or oscula. They are aquatic animals. That means they stay in water. Most of them are marine, that means they are found in the oceans and all, and some of them are also freshwater dwellers. Dwellers means they stay over there. Most of these animals have a asymmetric body. That means there is no symmetry on the body. These animals have special type of cell called as collar cells. These animals are always attached to the substratum. Hence, they do not show locomotion. Hence, they are referred to as sedentary animals. You'll be seeing special words over here. Should understand the meaning of them. What is it? They are attached to the substratum. That means they do not move. There is no locomotion. They do not have any movement organs like legs or maybe cilia or flagella or anything. They are attached to the substratum. That means if they are growing on the seabed, they are attached over there, or if they are on a rock, they are attached over there. There is no movement, and so they have a sedentary animal. That means who does not move from one place to another. Their spongy body is supported by spicules or spongin fibers. Spicules are made up of calcium carbonate or silica. They've got small thorn-like things on their body and they are made up of calcium carbonate or silica. These animals feed upon small organisms taken in their body along with the water. Water is taken in through the ostia and given out through the oscula. If you see the diagram, so we saw that they have lot of they have got lot of holes in their body or pores in their body. So the water comes in through the body through the more small openings on the body, and they throw out water also after they take in whatever the organisms that they eat. That's why sponges are also called as like the cleaners of the ocean. They are like purifying the water. These animals reproduce by budding and asexual method, and also sometimes by sexual method. Besides, they also have a good ability of regeneration. If you remember the previous chapters wherein we learned about what is the meaning of regeneration and what is the meaning of budding. Example given to us is Cycon, a spongia, or in normal word bath sponge, and two other examples. Any two you can learn. Next phylum is phylum Coelenterata or Cnidaria. The body of these animals are cylindrical or umbrella-like. See the diagrams. If it is cylindrical, it is called as a polyp, and if it's like an umbrella, it is called as a medusa. Most of these animals are marine, that means they live in the sea. But some of them are also found in fresh water like rivers and ponds, etc. The body of these animals is radially symmetrical and diploblastic. Now most of them they have tentacles. See the diagram of the hydra. So there are cnidoblasts or nidoblasts. They have the tentacles contains this cnidoblast and that are present around the mouth. These tentacles are useful for capturing the prey, whereas the cnidoblast inject the toxin in the body of the prey. Look at the diagram, they are very unique. Their mouth is like on top of the head, where we can normally imagine a head, and they have got tentacles. These tentacles keep moving and they help in capturing food and movement. Now, when they're capturing food, these tentacles have a special type of cell. They are called as nidoblast or cnidoblast. Now, what this they do is they have a poison inside them, or like a sting. So, whenever these tentacles touches a small food particle or a prey, so they touch that, and that in that you can say the toxin or the sting is injected in it. So they're basically like a defense organ which helps the hydra and other coelenterators to capture food. Example given is sea anemone, hydra, Portuguese man of war, jellyfish, etc. You might have heard about or seen pictures of jellyfish. So jellyfish also, if they touch your body starts itching. If you're near the seashore and you see if you touch a jellyfish, or if you have heard what is called as Portuguese man of war, it's like a jellyfish and it looks like a cap, and that's why it's called as a Portuguese man of war. It looks like as if a cap of a Portuguese army. So they also have this nidoblast and cnidoblast that keeps, if it touches your body, you feel there is a irritation, scratching kind of a thing. Why? Because this sting causes that itchiness in our body. Even corals. Corals, you might have heard about coral reef. That is also a type of nidaria only.